Hello everyone, Lord Josh here to present another enlightening video on the history and mythology of Zhuge Liang in the Three Kingdoms era. If you haven't yet seen the previous video, be sure to watch it, as I have covered the inventions of Zhuge Liang and the folklore and history behind them. I'm working to bring exposure to these topics. In this episode, I will discuss the recruitment of Zhuge Liang, how he left his mountaintop thatched cottage at the age of 27 in 207 to serve Shu Han founder Liu Bei, a fateful decision which later granted him incredible fame and enabled him to make many accomplishments in order to expand the state of Shu into a regional power, from a scholar farmer to a prime minister. Before we can examine this, we must first take a look at how Liu Bei secured the services of the then reclusive Kong Ming. Liu Bei himself had a rough start. He was a humble weaver of straw mats and seller of straw sandals. He lived much of his early life in poverty. Despite these modest occupations, Liu Bei had royal blood. He was a descendant of Emperor Jing, and as such, he was directly related to the Han Empire, an empire that was struggling to maintain its prestige and power. Due to Liu Bei's great loyalty to the Han, he felt compelled to restore it back to its former glory. The country itself was in turmoil, and corruption was rife in the courts. Liu Bei, despite his great ambition and determination for change, had accomplished very little. He lacked the resources and status of his rivals, but most importantly, he lacked a wise advisor, someone who was capable of deep planning and thinking. He was a talented general, known by his peers to be charismatic and magnetic, but he needed a grand strategist. Despite losing battles to Cao Cao of Wei, Liu Bei wasn't about to quit on the Han Emperor. Whilst Liu Bei was garrisoned in Xinyi, he was approached by Xu Chu, another great mind of the time, who recommended Zhuge Liang. He told Liu Bei, "Zhuge Kong Ming is a slumbering dragon. Don't you, my general, wish you could see him?" Liu Bei said, "Please bring him here." But Xu Chu responded, "You can only approach this man yourself and not impose him to come. You should respectfully visit him." So Liu Bei did just that. He paid 3 visits to his thatched cottage in the area of Longzhong in hopes of meeting the famous hermit scholar. Despite Kong Ming's relative seclusion, he had garnered a good reputation, being given the name Wolong, which literally means crouching or sleeping dragon. That nickname was said to have been given to him because others would underestimate his talents, but his close friends Pong Tong, Sima Huai, and Xu Chu knew he was very talented. It was said that Zhuge Liang tilled the fields and enjoyed reciting poetry and folk songs, most especially the Ode to Liang Fu. In 197 AD, Zhuge Liang married the daughter of Huang Chen-yang, Lady Huang, who was known to be rather ugly by appearance, yet extremely talented and intelligent. Overall, Kong Ming lived a quiet life of leisure amongst the cranes in the countryside. Liu Bei would need to use all of his powers of persuasion in order to win over Kong Ming's heart. The details of the 3 visits to the cottage are not covered in the records, but in the historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the story goes that Liu Bei traveled with his 2 sworn brothers, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, to the cottage. Their first visit was unsuccessful, as a servant informed the men that Zhuge Liang was out traveling. Liu Bei asked the servant to pass on a message to Kong Ming before leaving. Sometime later during winter, Liu Bei made another journey to the thatched cottage, but came across the younger brother of Kong Ming, Zhuge Jun. Disappointed but not dissuaded, Liu Bei vowed to make another visit at a later date, much to the annoyance of his sworn brothers, who told him that it was a waste of time. Liu Bei ignored them as he knew how important it was to his cause. On the 3rd and final visit, he approached the cottage once again, but this time the servant informed him that Zhuge Liang was home, but he was sleeping. Liu Bei told the servant not to wake him up, and the story says that Liu Bei waited patiently for Kong Ming to awaken from his slumber, being very careful not to disturb him. Back to the records themselves, Liu Bei and Zhuge Liang had a very lengthy conversation about current affairs and warlords who were contending for power. Liu Bei earnestly asked Kong Ming, The Han dynasty is in decline. Villainous officials usurp power while the emperor was forced into exile. I may be unworthy in both strength and virtue, but I still want to uphold justice and righteousness in the empire. However, I am not intelligent and shrewd enough, which is why I have repeatedly suffered setbacks and ended up in my current situation. Nevertheless, I have neither deviated from my initial intentions, nor given up on my ambitions. Sir, what do you think I can do? It was at this point that Kong Ming revealed the famous Longzhong Plan to Liu Bei. The plan involved Liu Bei gaining control over Jing and Yi provinces in order to secure a foothold in which to attack the rival state of Cao Wei when the time was right. Zhuge also told Liu Bei that he must ally with Sun Quan of Wu. Cao Cao had territories in central and northern China, while Sun Quan was based in the east. Jing province was such an important strategic place in this plan due to its natural barriers, such as the Han and Mian rivers in the north. Yi province was important because of the land. It was fertile, often called the country of heaven. The plan was praised due to Zhuge Liang's incredible foresight in envisioning the three kingdoms, and it helped lay the foundation for the state of Shu Han. Liu Bei really liked what he had heard, so he begged Zhuge Liang to come out of retirement from his cottage and to join him in his lofty endeavor. Obviously, Liu Bei had given a good impression. Zhuge was moved by his sincerity, and he agreed to leave his home to begin the great work of restoring the Han. As they say, the rest is history. Here are a few things we can take away from these events. Prior to meeting Zhuge Liang, Liu Bei already knew he was talented due to his nickname. Zhuge Liang already knew of Liu Bei's heartfelt cause, as his reputation was also growing. Liu Bei had the courtesy to find the young Kong Ming and talk to him at his home 3 times. It seems they were destined to meet and form a close relationship, one that lasted many years. Through times of victory and defeat, Zhuge Liang never swayed from his loyalty towards Shu and his lord Liu Bei. He remained stable and faithful to the kingdom. Liu Bei listened to much of his advice. Making the alliance between Wu and Shu, he got Sun Quan to attack Wei, enabling the defeat of Cao Cao at Chibi. He also persuaded Liu Bei to become the emperor of Shu, and after Liu Bei died, Zhuge Liang did not take the throne. The moral of the story: ask for help, and you shall receive it. Thanks for watching.